Hi, this is Lauren from lemknitcrochet Designs, and today I'm going to show you how I do my Nupp stitch. I've gone ahead and cast on 12 stitches and done the beginnings of a Nupp in two parts of my needle, and I'm going to show you a trick I don't know if anybody else has done it before, but what I figured out to do to purl all these stitches together without using a crochet hook or wanting to rip your needles in half because it's so hard to get to purl through 5 stitches. So I'm gonna go ahead and get to I only did it 2 stitches in so I could do it quickly, but I'm gonna go ahead and purl 2. Okay, so this is my Nupp, and I don't know if you can see, but there's 5 stitches right here. I'm doing a 5-stitch Nupp. I've gone ahead and knit front and back twice and then knit my stitch again to make it a 5-stitched Nupp, and now I'm going to purl back across. To finish your Nupp, you need to purl these 5 stitches together right here. Well, what I've learned is trying to stick this needle underneath 5 stitches feels impossible. So I figured out a better way to do it. So what do? Well, you're purling, so you're going to be needing to loop your yarn through the front of all of your stitches. So what I figured out to do, this is a 5-stitch Nupp, so I slip my first 4 stitches onto my needle, purl the 5th stitch, and then you can just slip these these next 4 stitches over your purled stitch, and so instead of having to go through and purl them all together, you can just slip them and then slip each individual stitch. And I have another one set up so I can show y'all again, more slow motion, but I figured it'd be better to just kind of tell you what I do first before I break it down more. So I'm just purling back across to get back to my next Nupp. Okay, so I'm at my next Nupp. It's a 5-stitch Nupp. You can see 5 loops on it. I'm going to need to purl this first stitch in the Nupp. I don't need to do anything with these 4 stitches yet. So what I've learned to do, instead of having to purl all 5 stitches together and try to slip your needle underneath all 5, you slide, I guess this is purl-wise, you slip your first 4 stitches of your Nupp. So if it's a 3-stitch Nupp, you'd only slip 2 stitches. But for a 5-stitch Nupp, you only slip the first 4 stitches. So I've slipped 4. Then you purl that 5th stitch. And see how I have 4 just slipped right there? Can you see that? There's 4 just slipped there. Now you're just going to lift each stitch. You could even probably lift them 2 at a time. Sometimes I do. But for this circumstance, I'm just going to show you. You're going to lift this stitch over that one that you purled. So that's slipping 1 over, 2 over, 3 over, and a 4th over. So now you tug it, because sometimes it'll get a little loose, but you tug it a little bit, and instead of having to sit there and wrestle with purling 5 stitches together or having to whip out a crochet hook to do it, you can make a Nupp. See those pretty little Nupps? You can make some Nupps without having issues. So I'm going to go ahead and show you one more time how I do this, showing the entire process. Since I've already done 2, in case you're still kind of confused as to how I do this, I'm going to do it one more time. So I'm just going to knit across, and I apologize, there's probably lots of clicking on my keyboard, but my cord is sitting there hanging. Not using the best yarn, it's a little splitty, but you'll get the point. So I guess I'm going to do my Nupp in this stitch. So to do a 5-stitch Nupp, you're going to knit in the front, yarn over, knit in the front, yarn over, knit again, and then just keep going, knitting like normal. Eek. Trying not to click for y'all. Knit all the way across. In retrospect, it probably would have been better if I used sock yarn, but it's more important for y'all to understand what I'm trying to show than for it to be easy on me. Okay, so I'm going to go back and purl this row until I reach where my Nupp is and show you again how I purl 5 stitches together. Okay, so it looks like, is this where my Nupp is? Yeah. This is where my Nupp is. So you'll see there's 5 stitches just kind of clumped together. And what you do is you go in purlwise, see, and you're going to slip 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches. You've still got your 5th stitch of your Nupp left, so you're going to purl that stitch. So now you've got these 4 just slipped and hanging there, so you're going to want to put them back over that first stitch that you purled. So you're going to go in knitwise, slip the first stitch over that, slip the second stitch over the first stitch, all the way across the second, that's the second stitch over the first stitch, and you do that 4 times. So second stitch over the first stitch, second stitch over the fourth. That was my 4th one. So now I've got another Nupp without having to sit there and wrestle with it and get really upset because it's so hard to purl 5 stitches together. And you can see now I have pretty little Nupps that weren't so frustrating to get. And that's all there is to it.